Am I live? Am I live? Am I live? Am I live? As the red line goes across the computer screen. Maybe I am. Hi, how are you today? Um, this is my third video, maybe my last one for today. I've been kind of angry because of a lot of news I've seen in the last 24 hours. And just stuff just irritates me. And I usually been going hard after corporate Democrats because sometimes they're just as much of an obstacle to progress than your typical cliche right wing Republican type. But let me go back to doing what I prefer to do since there's still a bigger problem, and that is to go after the hardcore right, the Republican right. Now, when I go after Republicans, I don't go after my next door neighbor Republican. I don't go after, I don't go after any friend of mine as a Republican or relative, what have you. Because if I were to do that, I would have no friends. I would not have. I mean, I would not have any relatives I would want to associate with. There would be nobody in church that I could go social with, and or what have you. It's here's the thing. These people that I deal with in my day to day life, coworkers, family, friends, what have you, that are Republican, no problem. Yeah, we can. Some of us can have some contentious debates, but it ain't personal because when you deal with people on an individual level, when we kind of know each other's deal, we can agree to disagree. But I want to talk about Mitch McConnell. I'm Bernie, bro, and that was one hell of a introduction. I consider Mitch McConnell to be a very, very bad man. I sometimes think that with the Trump derangement syndrome that took place from 2016 on to the present, that a lot of my liberal friends and progressives, allies, and you know, they actually their priorities are a little screwed because it would be nice if we could replace Donald Trump with a Democratic president that's going to be a Democrat, not a corporate centrist. Not just removing Trump, because if you just remove Trump and you go back to the same old, you're going to end up with another Trump or worse. But there are people worse than Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. Yeah, I know. I mean, pretty much I look at the Republicans in the Senate and I'm thinking, no, they're pretty much all bad. Even the same people like Susan Collins. She's still too right wing for me. But you get into to really, really unsettling territory when you run across someone like Mitch McConnell. When I was growing up in the 70s and the 80s, and I got aware of politics in the 80s, but in the 70s and the 80s, Bob Dole was your rabid right wing guy. Granted, he wasn't to the level of someone like Jesse Helms or Strom Thurmond, but he was considered your ultra conservative. But the Overton window got so warped in the past 30 years that Bob Dole, you know, Bob Dole is considered a moderate. I'll have to share y'all a story about the time I had lunch, or excuse me, had dinner with Bob Dole. I actually had dinner with Bob Dole once. I'll share you that story sometime in the future. Mitch McConnell, in my estimation, is the worst senator currently serving in the U.S. Senate since the days of Jesse Helms. Only Jesse Helms and Strom Thurmond, especially Jesse Helms, might be worse than Mitch McConnell. But Jesse Helms is dead. Mitch McConnell is so bad and horrible and shitty in every conceivable way. And I mean, what he did to Obama in the last couple of years before Obama stepped down with stalling a seat for the Supreme Court for the next election. They sit there and accuse Democrats of obstructing Supreme Court justices. I wish they would obstruct, but they don't, or they don't enough. But then Mitch McConnell did the same thing with Merrick Garland, who was just a generic piece of nothing. The guy, Mitch McConnell, shapes the agenda for the Senate as Senate Majority Leader. And all the shitty right-wing things you can imagine that would be a wet dream for Jesse Helms. Mitch McConnell makes sure it becomes a reality. So whenever you saw the wars coming along during the days of Bush and Cheney, or the corporate bailouts or deregulation or what have you, during the days of Bush and Cheney, and during the Obama years when Mitch McConnell became Senate Majority Leader again to the president, everything that was to satisfy the neocons on the foreign policy scene and the corporatists here at home, Mitch McConnell's all for it. He is a nasty, foul, right-wing ideologue that is also a neocon, bloodthirsty piece of shit. And he is a corporatist goon that gets an erection over Wall Street deregulation. This motherfucker wants blue states, and even his own fucking state of Kentucky wants bankruptcies to take place in the states to destroy the public employer pension of state employees. You know, teachers, cops, firemen, anybody else working for the state government, to destroy the middle class. That's Mitch McConnell in a nutshell. I don't want to ever hear some of these right-wing goons talk about Western civilization when they want to turn the United States into a banana republic / cesspool where just a few are in the top controlling everything and having all the wealth, while the many down in the bottom race toward the bottom economically, which is the case in a lot of developing countries. Don't ever lecture me about Western society, Western civilization, because left-wing politics and left-wing ideology is truly synonymous with Western civilization. Again, Medicare for all, the free college, the living wage, unions, generous retirement system, tolerance, no death penalty. All the neat things I like about places like Norway, Sweden, Denmark. And I don't want to hear, well, they're a homogeneous society. Maybe. But there's nothing about the pigmentation of your skin that says we can have these nice things. We can have a thriving social democracy in the United States. But Mitch McConnell is a foul person. Worse than Donald Trump. Liberals, if you want to see progress continue, I would say it's probably a higher priority to remove Mitch McConnell from the U.S. Senate than it is Donald Trump or just about any rinky-dink Republican in the Senate or in the U.S. House. At least Rand Paul, who's wrong on virtually all economic issues, at least he's good on foreign policy. But the problem with Rand Paul is that the Republicans love all the shitty things about Rand Paul. The you know the capitalism that's on steroids. But anything that's good about Rand Paul and his father Ron, they reject. Folks, Mitch McConnell is a predator. He's a cancer. And he needs to electorally be removed. He's a red blood cell that is in the Senate attacking white blood cells. And if you're in Kentucky, remember, please do what you can to electorally remove that creature, that son of a bitch, from office. I'm Bernie Bro. Feel free to subscribe, comment away, good, bad, or indifferent. Peace.